the button.
Yes, there are many like it, but this one is mine. And it's blue, which means it is recording. Hello, and welcome to working title Moe's School for Gifted Youth. This is apparently becoming a full campaign because we instantly fell in love with all these characters on the first one-shot.
Yep.
My name is Crash. I'll be your GM for the evening for this Cypher system adventure. Tonight I'm joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Beth, ElizabethMcCoy.com, Ellie, Noel.codes, I believe, EO, whose mom writes books at ElizabethMcCoy.com, and
I
Jen.
write fanfic.
Yes.
You also write fanfic, yes, at Archive of Our Own. But also Jen, who is bookofjen.net and shattersocial.com.
Yep.
Plugs at the beginning because maybe not all of us will be staying for the whole class. For the whole class, yes. Can you tell I'm a teacher?
You did say this is
right.
a school for gifted students.
Yes.
That is also true.
Class.
That is also true. So,
Yeah.
First session was a night out, and you were assigned to special missions afterwards because you probably shouldn't have been taking a night out. That involved arson and property theft and things like that.
Kind of.
Second adventure was you were sent to stop a fire at the crayon factory, and in the process found a superhero who is still not superhero, super villain. Well, villain. Maybe not that super. Who was still workshopping his name. He hadn't really decided it. Well, you saved everyone who was trapped inside and captured the villain. Congratulations. This time around, you're being given a job where your main thing is you're supposed to look nice and just by your presence be a deterrent. The local high school has a band that doesn't have much of a budget. However, the band director, one Miss Melody Weasel, yes, that is her last name, is the niece of the current CEO of the family-run business, Weasel Guitar. Weasel Guitar is a very popular guitar company. Many of their guitars, acoustic and electric, are used by some large names out there, including but not limited to the heavy metal band Giga Unalive. Thank you. I'm here all week. It totally original name. All original characters do not steal. Well, Weasel Guitar has reached out to a bunch of well-known names that have ties to either this particular area or to Weasel Guitar in general because they're fans of the guitar. And they have gotten a few guitars that are signed by the musicians who've played them on stage, or maybe saw the guitar briefly and then signed it. We won't say which was which. And there is currently an auction that's being held at the local fire department's building. They do have to say it's a venue is accurate. It's a large empty space that is usually used for craft fairs and wedding receptions because it's fairly inexpensive. They've hung some black curtains on the walls. It actually looks kind of tasteful. There's, very nice tablecloths that are draped over the foldable tables that are set out. But this is where there's going to be a dinner. There was a fee to attend. Your fee is waived. You're considered part of the help for this. But also participants get to bid on the auctions because several of these guitars are being auctioned off and all the proceeds go to benefit the local band, which is fantastic. I think it's cool. As someone who teaches at an art school, I'd kind of like that to happen, but never mind about that. This is not about my wish fulfillment.
Okay.
You have all been provided with some type of attire to make you look like you belong in this particular venue. What is your character wearing?
Are these the same characters we were doing last time? Or
Yes,
Yep.
you are still playing
Okay.
Zandra Storms.
okay, cool. So Zandra's going to put on a pair of black slacks and a white shirt that's buttoned down and keep her hair purple as it is. And there we are.
Okay.
Mhm.
I need to add you to the initiative also. So it's toggle combat state. And then if you could go to the combat encounters thing, the cross swords over on the right-hand side at the top, and click on that d20. While you're doing that trajectory, what are you wearing? I'm assuming you're still wearing your speedster outfit underneath it, but what are you wearing in addition to that?
That's a really good question, because my initial response was something that would absolutely give away my speedster outfit.
Oh, yeah, you are not showing up as, oh, here are just some local representatives from the high school. No, you are representatives of Moe's School for Gifted Youth. You are all there on official business, but also there is a dress code. So what are you wearing to not just be in your superpowered outfit?
In that case, Trajectory has entirely failed to get the message and is wearing a suit and tie.
I love this. Felim, the capybara, what are you wearing?
What is the dress code?
Well, let's go over some of the people who are in attendance. Go to my NPCs for this event. I have scrolled past it twice, going up and down. So Melody Weasel is wearing a very tasteful black dress that is it goes just past her knees. And she is the guest of honor. Officer Turnkey is assisting with the security. He is not the officer who kicked Felim like the football in Session 0, but he was there at the time. He is there in uniform. Mayor Norbert Cumbent is the mayor's last name, is there wearing a full tux. He's the MC for the evening and is also going to be the auctioneer. As mayor of a small town, he literally has nothing better to do. And most of the people who are there, if they can afford a very nice suit, they are wearing a very nice suit. If they can afford a nice dress, they're wearing a nice dress. Otherwise, it's, what do you mean? This is my best sweater vest.
Felim is wearing their usual collar, because I figure they have one, that has a little bow tie attached to it right now, and a capybara sized and shaped, okay, it was probably for a dog at one point, but close enough, black jacket that looks approximately like what would happen if you were dressing your dog up for Halloween.
I confess, this whole thing I'm having you go through right now was specifically because I wanted to hear the responses for two different characters, and one of them was Felim. The other one is Quartz.
Quartz is wearing clothing. Quartz is wearing a very large and suspiciously lumpy black dress.
I love it. I'm going to say it is suspiciously similar to the same design that Melody Weasel is wearing. It is,
but in a much larger size.
Yes, it's size different, but the accoutrements, the folds and pleats look very, very similar. This is 100% coincidence. But people who do understand how clothing is put together are occasionally just looking over at Quartz and looking over at Melody, then looking over at Quartz and not saying anything. All right. So, as people who are there not to participate in the event as guests, but to participate as additional security, you are allowed to partake in the food. It's a buffet. You do have to go through after everyone who is a paying guest has gone through. So some of the aluminum foil platters that are over top of a little sterno burner have been emptied out and scraped, not clean, but enough so that there's nothing that you really want out of there. But for the most part, there's some stuff in there.
Phelan has been looking soulful as other people leave the table. So, after after you go through and you get all your food, then there's a capybara that's looking at you as if the capybara has never, ever, ever been fed in its entire life.
I would say about 50% of the guests here are cat owners, so they are immune to that look. But you may definitely make an intellect roll. Is it intellect or intelligence? I keep forgetting because games. Intellect, yes. You may definitely make an intellect roll difficulty 2 to try to get additional morsels.
Well, you see, what I'm trying to do is get the morsels before all the good morsels are. Yeah, I don't have anything to use that. Nope.
That's a GM intrusion. Okay, so
It's a private roll, is what it is.
The what?
Yeah, it popped up as privately rolled.
I'll fix that. There.
So while the rest of you are standing near the guitars, and the guitars are all set up on a pair of long folding tables, like you would see in a venue like this or at a bingo night or whatever. They're on the kind of stands that you would have for a guitar to have it sit on the ground, but they're elevated because they're on a table. So you can see them from anywhere in the room. And this also happens to be right at one end of the buffet, apparently the end where everyone is walking past with a full plate of food.
Oh,
And
no.
Philem, how did you end up knocking that table over?
I saw the police officer come by to get his food, and his feet were coming awfully close to my paws, and I remember being kicked like the football, so I backed up
You backed up without looking behind
into
you.
a table.
Into a table.
Look, there were feet right there in front of me, so it's like,
And
and I'm a big capybara.
and normally this would just slide the table, but you backed up at speed.
Yeah, I did
So-
not want to be kicked like the football. It's the cop's fault.
So this is a GM intrusion. I will say that at this precise moment, the table has tilted at a very bad angle. This is the dessert table.
It is no longer precarious.
It is very curious.
Mm-hmm.
It is about to be post-carious. What would anyone like to do to solve this problem?
I'm gonna run over to where the guitars are and try to at least grab one, so that we'll have at least one up there still in case I can't get them all at the same time.
Okay. This is the dessert table that's getting knocked over. The guitars should be fine, but you can definitely
okay.
position yourself
I got
between
confused.
this table and the guitars because
Okay.
the desserts are messy and there
all
might be
right.
splatter zone.
right.
So your plan is not a bad plan.
Okay.
Trajectory has rolled a 12, which will be difficulty 4. Well, also eased by 3 steps. So beats a lot more than difficulty 4. Trajectory, how do you make everything go well?
Well, this may end up making things go even more poorly, but I dash over and catch the edge of the table. This is, you will note, interrupting the motion of the table, but not necessarily the motion of the desserts.
The table does not fall over with a loud clatter. However, the desserts are sliding right off the edge and onto the ground. And you have successfully saved one half of the tablecloth.
Oh wow.
Hooray.
It's the half that's facing the audience. I'm going to ask for a speed defense roll from Zandra. This is not to
Okay.
take damage. This is to avoid
Okay.
splatter zone.
Did Quartz get anything?
Which dice do I roll?
Just roll a d20.
Okay.
Yes, Ellie. And the flowers are still standing. Okay.
I got
With
an
an 8, that would be difficulty
Mhm.
2. I would say you successfully avoid splatter zoning.
Okay, sounds
So-
good.
Yeah. And just there was one guitar that might have gotten some on it, but you picked that up and moved it aside at just the right moment.
Yep.
Quartz, what do you do?
Quartz was not near the area because Quartz largely doesn't eat, but they are going to trundle off to find a mop.
Okay. So every one of you add 1 XP. Technically, that's not what I'm supposed to do for a GM intrusion, but dagnabbit, it was an intrusion and it led to roleplay. You should get XP for that.
Phelan would like to help clean up as well.
Yes, I thought they
Phelan?
might.
Phelan is, I would say, currently, there's a lot of icing on Phelan. One of the large
Excellent.
blue icing roses, because the school's colors are blue and white, so it's a blue rose, is currently propped up just behind one of your ears.
I would
It-
like to balance that so that it stays that way while I am helping clean up whatever is on the floor.
By the time Quartz gets back, the mop is not necessary.
Possibly.
However, there's a capybara who might need a bath.
Yes.
It's
The
fine.
capybara's fine. Capybaras like baths, so, there you go.
They do. It's a shame that you are a capybara, not a cat, because then you'd have lots of ice. Although, can capybaras taste sweet things? It might not matter.
Don't know.
I'm a shapeshifter, probably.
Capybara.
Capybara.
Nice. Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Well, there's some
I should do a
commotion, and
reset.
as this is happening, the mayor steps forward and thanks everyone for coming. There's polite applause. Everyone is pointedly trying to ignore the cleanup as the mayor thanks representatives from Weasel Guitar, pointedly also ignoring the fact that the representative from Weasel Guitar happens to be the band director for the school that's getting benefited by this. So technically the representative from the high school is the same person, but apparently the mayor is being evaluated by word count. So the mayor then also thanks the high school representative that's here and goes into a nice long speech about the importance of music in education and how there's a few anecdotal stories from the mayor's youth. Everyone roll a might defense roll. This is going to be difficulty 1 to stay awake.
Okay. How do I do that?
Just roll a d20.
There's a little thing next to your might, right underneath your portrait on your character sheet. If you click that,
Okay.
Yes, there is that also, but we can also do the math
that's true. You can just roll it
afterwards.
if you want.
So, yes.
Yeah, I'll
Trajectory
just roll
just
something.
barely stays awake. Quartz
Ditto quartz.
Ugh.
just barely stays focused on this. I like how for Zandra it still says strong hero every time Zandra
It does.
rolls.
I didn't change it, so that's
Also
Well, you're-
barely stays awake.
Yes.
yep.
Phelim has sugar. This is keeping Phelim awake.
Zandra is doing better because she's trained in might defense.
This is true. This is true. So
I have
Zandra,
brought him. Sorry.
No
I'm
problem.
going to say, unless I'm told otherwise, that sorry was in character because the
I have
idea
brought a
of-
mop. Sorry.
the idea of
That
Quartz walking in with the
probably
mop.
is in character because Quartz is having a little bit of difficulty navigating everything.
And you actually... Oh, we lost Beth.
We killed Beth.
Beth is back. Okay.
It
I'm
was
Beth
going
has
Jack-
returned from the dead.
So Quartz walks in and says, I brought a mop, interrupting the mayor's speech,
Oh no.
and then realizes everyone is now staring at Quartz having interrupted the mayor's speech. There's some polite laughter, and the mayor gets a little flustered and discontinues the speech to move on with the actual auction. You have gained the support and admiration of all of the guests.
All right.
And the first
For
guitar
the fifth
is...
hour of my speech,
I missed most of what you just said, Ellie. Something about my speech.
for the fifth hour of my speech, I would like to begin with an anecdote.
Anecdotes are defined by Webster's Dictionary as... Yeah. So the first guitar gets auctioned off. The mayor is not a skilled auctioneer. They go very slowly and deliberately. Do I have $25? Anyone? Oh, no. Oh, you were scratching your nose. Never mind. 25 over. Yes, 25. Oh, was that... Oh, you're taking a call. I'm sorry. 25 over here. This guitar auction is going very slowly. It's also a very
Yeah.
small town.
Trajectory
guitar
is visibly vibrating.
You are a blur.
This
In
is not a
place.
GM intrusion. However, per trajectory, it feels like one. The first guitar gets auctioned off for $30, but they didn't lead with the big name ones. This was a guitar signed by somebody who plays at the local coffee shop every other Thursday, unless it's raining. It's an outside venue. The next guitar is a little bit more valuable, so people start bidding on that one more readily. The mayor feels a little bit better about things in general. And then the third guitar is the one that it's an electric guitar that is signed by the lead guitarist for Giga Unalive. And this seems to be one that multiple people came here to bid on based on the hands that are going up, the numbers that are being said, and also the length and perm styles of the hair of the people doing the bidding. Yes, I am totally going for the 80s theme here.
Why not?
Yes. And at that moment, there is, give me a second here, there is a sound that comes from somewhere outside. Now, remember I said they hung black curtains up everywhere. They're covering all of the walls. There's some treatment to show where the windows are, but those also have like additional curtains there. So this is happening in the evening. They weren't expecting a lot of light to come through anyway, but they wanted it to look nice. And a great view of the gravel parking lot outside is not necessarily nice. So they weren't worried about that. But what you hear is... And then a person who is dressed in an outfit that is somewhat reminiscent of Kiss meets the Shredder, which I suppose is still on brand.
Yeah.
In part because of the name. Does a somersault through the window, glass shatters everywhere, the curtains are torn down, they stand up, and they're actually somewhat entangled by the curtains. They weren't expecting those to come down around them. It was going to be a much cooler entrance. They should have rehearsed this. They were not here for rehearsal. They should have been here for rehearsal. But they are yelling and screaming, and perhaps there's words in there. You can ask them to enunciate better once they're out of the curtain. We are now in combat.
That is not an appropriate way to auction off a guitar.
Trajectory. You go first. What do you do?
I held my action.
Okay. Valim, you are still somewhat covered in icing. What do you do?
Valim is going to stand in a guarding position between this person and the guitars, and possibly the remnants of the dessert table.
You assume defensive stance.
Basically.
Slowly bobbing a little bit back and forth like you are a character in a Final Fantasy game. All right.
Just sort of shifting weight and still keeping the icing rose behind my ear.
Okay. Your characters, by the way, on the grid are... they're not on the grid. 2, none of this distance is to scale. We're not going to worry about that right now. It is theatra of the mind.
You can drag us into something resembling position.
I could. I'm not going to be bothered with that right now because I'm looking up abilities. Okay. So, they managed to rip their way through the curtain with what appears to be the wide end of the guitar. Apparently, it has been sharpened. It is, in fact, an axe.
Oh, no.
They pull out what appears to be a guitar pick and toss it into the middle of the room, and it releases a visible shockwave that goes through the room. And I'm going to ask everyone to make a speed defense roll. This is going to be difficulty 2.
Okay.
A speed defense roll.
Yes.
Not even sure how to do that.
If you roll a d20, I'll take a look at your character sheet and figure out the map.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where the character sheet went, but yep.
If you double click on your character on the map, it will pop up.
Oh, on the map. Okay.
Yes. You rolled a
Try
9,
that again.
so you're gonna... you make it.
Okay.
I have a power shift that speed defense is eased by 1 step per shift, and I have it at level 2.
So you were just rolling to make sure you didn't get a 1.
Okay, I'll just roll and see if I get a 1 again. 7.
Oh, that 7 and 1 are right next to each other on that die. And I know that Foundry die rolls are not physics-based, but if they were... Okay, so Falim made it, Quartz made it, Zandra made it, Trajectory got a nat 20, so that's a crit for sure.
That tracks.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't need anything to be eased at all. You just easily did this. Ellie, roll a d6 for me.
Okay.
That looks like a 1. All right. So you are going to get a thing.
Not a thing.
Yes, a thing. So when you roll the nat 20, when this shockwave goes through, there's little bits of what appear to be debris from that guitar pick that are flying through the air along with the shockwave. And you somehow manage to dodge sound, because of course you do. But as you're doing this little bit of something is flying past you. It catches your eye, and before you know it, you are holding it between your fingers because it looked neat. And what you have gathered, what you are holding, is an information sensor. This is a Cypher. So I'm going to add this to your character sheet, and I know you already have Cyphers. So what you need to do is decide if you're going to keep it or not. And I'll let you decide after I've added it, but there you go.
I had intended to use a cipher with my next action. Can I do that in...
I will allow that.
Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do, so here's the thing. Falim assumed a defensive stance. Falim, were you holding your action or was that your action?
I was probably holding my action.
Okay.
That seems, defensive stance seems sort of like, yes, I'm holding my action for if something happens. But then my action was probably to drop flat to dodge the sound.
Well, that would be a reaction to it, that you were responding to what this villain was doing. I'm not going to hold that against your choices for what your character can do. My proposal is we now have Trajectory and Falim do their thing, because otherwise we have Zandra and Quartz go, and then Trajectory and Falim go twice because holding action.
That's fair.
Okay. So Trajectory, what do you do?
How big is this space?
I'd say it's about 60 foot square.
Okay, so 60 feet on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, then I am running to put myself between the crowd and the guests and the new guy.
Okay.
And then I cannot figure out how to actually do this thing.
Which cipher are you using?
Lightning wall.
Okay.
And I'm trying to put it in the chat box and it's not working.
It's probably not going to, but I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah.
So create, because I can look at your character sheet, creates a wall of electric bolts up to 30 feet by 30 feet by 1 foot that inflicts damage equal to the cipher's level on anything that passes through it. The wall conforms to the space available. It lasts for 10 minutes. Okay, so you place that down, and Jen is typing, possibly because Jen has to go soonish.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. When does your other thing start?
Let's
The top of
see.
the
About
hour
15
or-
minutes.
About 15 minutes? Okay.
Okay. So,
We should probably let you leave in about 10.
Okay.
okay. So I'm suspecting that you set this up so it's close enough that it's going to do damage to this person automatically.
No, I want to block him off from getting to the guests
Ah.
while still leaving openings at the sides so everybody else can get, all of my friends can get through to him.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. So, Falim, there is now a wall of lightning that is between the guests and this guitar-themed supervillain. But you see a way around it. What do you do? Beth, you're muted.
Well, and now you get to tick that off on the bingo card. I was muted.
This is true.
Falim wants to dash around the lightning wall and dash over to right behind the villain, ideally in such a way that when the villain stumbles backwards because of lightning walls or because someone does a punch, they will trip over the capybara.
Okay, so that's your movement. Do you also do anything else as an action? Or do you just brace yourself?
I just want to get snugged up right there behind their knees so that if they shift backwards, they're going down.
All right. Which brings us to Zandra.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, the guy grabbed the guitar and went out the window?
Oh, no. The guy
Is that
came
right?
in
No?
with the guitar. They have
came
the
in with
guitar
the
as a
guitar.
weapon. And there's currently a wall
Okay.
of lightning between them and all the guests.
Mm-hmm.
The wall of lightning doesn't extend to the walls on either side, so you can go around the wall of lightning instead of through
Okay.
it and get to this person
Okay.
with the guitar weapon if you so choose.
Yep, let's try that.
Okay, So now you're in front of them. There is a capybara behind them that appears to be sort of hunched over and braced against the floor.
And we can work on that together then, I think. What did I get? A 19.
That's a 19. Okay. I am assuming you were doing a punch.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with a 19, that's going to add +3 damage or a minor effect. So
Okay.
looking at your combat, your punch would normally do 4 points of damage.
Okay.
And I remember that there was something, we were adding more damage to it for some reason in session 0.
I think so. I don't remember.
Because Sandra has the strength power shift.
There we go.
Okay, that's what it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that does 3 additional points of damage.
For power shift, so that's 6 additional damage.
Wow.
It's also written in the punch thing. So it says 4, but then it says plus 6
but
damage.
the damage there is not right. It does 10 damage.
Well, yeah. Well, 4 plus 6. The numbers are there. It just doesn't add them together.
Yes.
So you're doing 10 points of damage.
But it's not written down for Jen to look at.
Yeah, that's okay.
It is if you click on the little triangle thing to expand it, but no matter, we're there. We won't worry about the roads we took and whether or not one of them was one way only and we actually went down the wrong way and if there were sparks on the sides of the vehicle because the alley wasn't quite large enough. But we are there. So you can either do 13 points of damage because you rolled 19, or you could do 10 points and do a minor combat effect. These include damaging an object, distracting, knocking back, moving past, striking a specific body part.
Okay. I'm going to stomp on his foot.
Might I suggest there's a capybara directly behind them.
That's the point. I'm going to stomp on his foot. He's going to yell to fall over. Probably.
Okay. All right. So that's going to be 10 points of damage if I can actually do damage to this character.
All right.
When the GM can't do damage to an NPC, you know you're in trouble.
Well, I was trying to change how much damage they did in the initiative tracker, and I was like, no, they don't have 18 hit points. No, 18 is their initiative. So I've done that damage, and they are not 20 damage. I typoed. That's a me problem. So congratulations, you have stomped on their toe. They fall backwards. This is the second time in as many turns that they've actually no, it's still turn 1. This is the second time they're on the ground today. This turn.
Oh, okay.
Because they started their turn on the ground.
I think I need to bounce out pretty quick here.
Yep. Well, you have had your action, and they are currently... Their feet are on top of a capybara.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, Jen, have fun at your other thing?
Yes, I will. It's a vampire game.
And might I suggest that we take a 5-minute break?
That sounds like an excellent idea.
It'll be Quartz's turn when we get back.
All right, we're back, and there is one more person who has not yet gone. It's Quartz.
What is the current status of the window breaking interloper?
They are currently on their back with their feet propped up awkwardly on top of a capybara who is covered in icing. They might need to clean their boots because the boots are now partially covered in icing. They are surrounded by black curtain fabric, but not impeded by it currently. And they are currently very illuminated by an awesome looking wall of lightning that looks like it belongs in a rock show.
I would like to attempt to take their guitar away from them.
I need to have this be in the recording for posterity's sake. Ellie has thought of a student in Moe's school for superpowered teens who can become a liquid as a superpower, and their name is Quartz, as in quart, pint, gallon.
Oh.
Imagine when attendance is being taken during class. That'd be wonderful. All right, so you approach and politely go around Zandra and attempt to pull the guitar from this person's hands. I am going to say that this is a difficulty 6 might roll.
I Well, first of all, I have a confusion about how the strength power shift is written, but I believe that will ease it by 1 step.
So it takes us down to difficulty 5.
And I will spend a level of effort.
Bringing it down to difficulty 4.
I will spend an XP to reroll that.
Okay. For the recording, it was an 11. They missed by 1. That's a 17. That doesn't miss. All right. So you go to grab their guitar from them, and with a 17, you can actually do damage to them in the process if you wish to do that while you're disarming them.
I do not want to do damage to them. I want to take away what appears to be their weapon.
Okay. You managed, because of your roll, you managed to yoink it out of their hands. The grip was perhaps not as strong as it would have been had they not tripped over a capybara. It's okay, they landed on their pride.
You are disrupting this event.
That's kind of the idea. And that brings us to trajectory. You know what? I never pressed begin combat. I've just been keeping track of the order.
Oops.
So there we go. Round 2, fight.
So is this one of those things where you have a perfectly legitimate gripe against what was her name? Giga Unalive. And like they tried to kill you, or they stole something from you, or do you just have a grudge and you're taking it out the wrong way? And
No.
I'm holding my action again.
These guitars are worth a lot of money. And your security is and they sort of just gesture over towards the police officer who is currently partaking in what little of the dessert that did not fall off the table. I thought it was going to be
it is
easy.
a high school. Yeah, they told us to come in. They said there was a dress code, and some of us have trouble with dress codes.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm supposed to be keeping the peace, so I'm going to go ahead and hit you now.
Well, you don't have to do that. I'm assuming you now hit. I will say that because
Yes.
they are on the ground, this is eased by 1, so it's going to be... Actually, no, hold up. It is not eased. When you go to hit them, you are punching through something invisible. So what should have been easier because they're right there and on the back and it's hard to dodge when you're like that, still makes it just as hard as if they've been standing. This is a difficulty 6 roll minus the things that you can apply.
Okay. Oh, I am only practice.
Okay.
Just barely beats it.
All right. So because of the various things that are doing stuff, base damage is 4 points. They are definitely armored. Their armor is absorbing some of the damage, but you are fairly certain that they're feeling it when you punch them. And
Oh, hey.
is this...
When you said I didn't have to hit you, does that mean you just like go away? Because like this is a benefit, man.
Yeah, it's going to benefit me when I get that guitar.
Yeah, all right.
And maybe some of the... Are there any wings left? The police officer
Yeah, I think
said
so. You have
no
to-
through a full mouth.
Well, there were. Anyway, it's Phelim's turn now.
It is Phelim's turn.
Phelim would like, if possible, to turn into an octopus and basically grapple the guy's legs, which ought to be pretty easy if they're still on top of her.
They are still on top of her. At least their feet are, because it's not their turn yet. So
Well,
this is going to be difficulty 7.
I'm an octopus. I have 8 arms, and they're on top of me already. Surely that gets eased by something.
I will ease that by 1 down to difficulty 6. For the record, this particular enemy is level 6, but they have an ability that raises certain things to 7, which
Like grappling.
trajectory has already.
I don't want to do
encountered it.
damage.
You
I
are
just want to
encountering
grab
it as
them.
well. Yeah, when your tentacles as an octopus go to wrap around them, they have to push through the air to get to them. There is some type of invisible barrier that sort of it vibrates. You're pushing through sound.
Weird. Okay, so level 6, you say. And that's going to be what kind of roll is that?
This is a speed attack.
Okay, so speed 6. I'm going to spend...
I don't see your roll.
I haven't rolled it yet. I want to
Oh.
spend a luck point on that.
That's
All right,
right,
I'll roll
because
it
your
first.
character has luck.
And I would like to spend a luck point.
Okay.
How many luck... Actually, do I only get to spend one at a time?
I have never played a game where someone was using luck before. So let's take
It's
a
just
look at your luck.
basically, it's an additional pool that I can add to any of the other things if I feel like it.
When spending points from any other pool, you can take one, some, or all the points from your luck pool first. So essentially, you can use those. You can use the 3 points in luck for effort.
Right. How
That would-
much effort do I have to do to beat that difficulty there?
One more than you got from that roll.
So just one luck point?
Well, no. Let me double check. So you have one additional pool called luck that begins with 3 points, and it has a maximum value of 3 points.
Yep.
When spending points from any other pool, you can take one, some, or all of the points from your luck pool first. When you make a recovery roll to recover points to any other pool, your luck pool is also refreshed by the same number of points. When your luck pool is at 0 points, it does not count against your damage track, and it's an enabler. So, if you are using effort, the first time you use effort, it costs 3 points, and you're level 1, so you can only do one level of effort anyway. You could use all of your luck points to get what's essentially a free level of effort, which would bring this from difficulty 6 down to difficulty 5.
And I've only beaten 4 with a 14.
Your roll would beat it by 4. Would beat a difficulty 4. Yes. You have 6 XP. You could spend an XP.
Oh, well, in that
And
case,
reroll.
what will that do? Let me re-roll it?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have to spend the luck? Do I have to spend the points to boost the effort before or after?
I would ask you to spend them now.
Okay.
Also,
I will spend them
your animal shape, if you turned into an octopus, your intellect should be down by 3. You should have intellect. You should have 8 points of intellect now because you shapeshifted.
Oh, does it do that?
Yes.
Okay.
But roll again.
Okay. Take that down. I haven't spent any intellects. All right. So it's going to be a difficulty 5 roll now.
Yes.
Speed, base difficulty 5. Hey, crit.
Okay. Well, it was a valiant effort. So now they have a backdrop of a wall of lightning, and there's octopus tentacles flying all over the place. This would look really awesome if someone hadn't stolen their guitar and they weren't covered in icing from the knees down because of capybara. What was that?
Well, now it's an octopus covered in icing. It's going to at least get them pretty icinged up.
You were also asking a question that I interrupted.
Oh.
Okay. Well, no, come on. You can do this. Okay. So at the bottom where I have options for tracking the initiative, there's 2 arrows to the left and 2 arrows to the right. And one of them is for going to a new round altogether. And I was clicking on that, and it wasn't going forward 1. It was going to the next round. Why isn't it doing anything? The round number's just going up and up and up and up. You know what this means? This means that on your bingo card, you can check off fighting with Foundry. So there we go. All right. They jump to their feet and yell, "You think you can defeat Fretboard? Think again!" And they are going to use an ability. Where is that written? No, I can't bother to look at that format, so I'm going to look at this format because it's written better. There we go. All right. So they pull out what looks to be a small speaker, like the kind you would plug a guitar into, but it's the size that they can keep it on their belt without it being too awkward. And they turn a dial on it. And you would expect to hear an audible click when they turn the dial. You don't hear the click. You don't hear the wall of lightning. You don't hear your heartbeat or your breathing. You don't hear anything.
Oh, that's creepy.
You turned the sound down.
And they appear to be shaking off the impact of being punched by a very angry purple-haired teenager.
They turned the sound down.
And that is their turn. Quartz. No, Fretboard is not muted. Fretboard muted all of you.
Rude.
Quartz is going to shift to holding their guitar in one hand and attempt to punch them with the other. They would like to
Okay.
talk, but Fretboard said no.
You don't have permission to post in this channel. So this is going to be difficulty 6 because I'm going to assume you're using a might-based attack.
Yes.
And that goes right through the sound barrier.
Sound barrier. Oh.
And that's a 19 on the die. So, minor effect or +3 points of damage. Which would you prefer? Io?
What would distracting them do?
Without looking it up, likely they wouldn't be making an attack next turn. Possibly not doing any action, depending on how much you distract them.
I'm going to distract them, and I'm going to do that by briefly getting my big stone fist around their arm and pulling. They are now going to be engaged with me in the combatant sense. I at least am too young to get married.
Also, they're not looking for a relationship right now.
No, they seem to be looking for a fight. And I am giving them one.
So, you're doing this instead of the extra damage. By the way, to rip the guitar away from them, I should have done the rules differently because now I'm looking at the rules for that. But I'm not going back in time to fix that. Yeah. Because my house rule is if we realize a problem after that turn is passed, that's become a future issue, not a past issue. So how much damage are you doing? 7.
7 points.
Okay. You do 5 points of damage. They are wearing armor, so that absorbs some of the blow.
Rude.
Now, I will say that they are distracted by this, but I'm not going to rule it as an actual grapple because you yoink on their arm, but in doing so, your grip is not as strong as if you had tried to just like give them a bear hug or something.
Yeah, I'm not trying to grapple them. I'm trying to sort of pull them towards me so that suddenly their face is full of quartz and they can't really attack anyone else effectively.
Congratulations, you are engaged in a tango with a supervillain. It looks more like a tango because you are wearing the stylish black dress. But the capybara has the rose. Actually, the octopus has the rose. So.
Yes.
Well,
Somehow
it's
the
a
rose is
fancy
still-
event, so someone has to do the tango.
It's a small town version of a fancy event. Trajectory. What would you like to do?
I would like to take his gadget away from him.
Okay. So remember I said that becomes a future problem, not a past problem?
It's a present problem now.
It's a present problem now. That will be a disarm. So this will be hindered by 2 steps. I will give it to you that this is a speed thing, and you're not trying to do damage, so I'm not going to deal with the sonic shield for that. So that means all the math on my end makes it difficulty 8, but that's before you do all the math on your end to bring that difficulty down.
Okay. Can I treat this as a punch?
You can. It is an attack.
Okay.
I'm assuming your goal is to disable this thing.
Yeah, eventually.
It might be more than eventually, or sooner than eventually, depending on your roll.
I remember how something works real quick.
Oh, hang on. I have to look something up. Is now checked on the bingo card.
Yes, this is hang on. I have to look something up.
What happens if the GM gets... Oh, if the GM gets a bingo, because I said you get inspiration or an XP from getting a bingo, then I also get to check off XP awarded to the GM.
It's true.
Surely you can
But so
only
does
get one
everyone
bingo
else.
at a time.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
All right. Well, that's...
I'd like to
3.
spend an XP to re-roll that.
You most definitely may do that.
A 2 is
And
not
that's
better than a
2.
10.
No, it is not. So you go to grab and or smash and or spin the dial on this little speaker box that they're holding. And even though they're somewhat distracted by what's going on with their arm being yoinked into a tango by quartz, they do manage to pull it, or perhaps just their flailing keeps it from getting into your grasp. You're not quite sure they are aware that they were dodging you.
That's fair.
It's possible that if they were aware they were trying to dodge you, they wouldn't have been able to. All right. Phaleem.
I'm going to
Sorry?
use my movement to duck over to the edge of the lightning wall and check in on the guests.
Yes, but also now I check off, but before my turn is over.
That's true.
Oh no.
I am one away from a bingo, but I cannot figure out how to add the Tarask to this encounter. That's what I would need.
Well, now you've made sure I won't turn into a Tarask.
I think that's outside of the size categories that you are allowed with your current level of ability.
I did say I
that-
could turn into a full-scale Tarask.
I'm not letting
Let's
you turn
see.
into a baby Tarask. Right now we have to check in on Trajectory, checking in on the guests.
Right.
And Trajectory, as you run around the lightning well to get a better look, the officer had lied. There were barbecue wings left. They are currently eating one. The guests seem to be somewhat confused. Some of them are in a rather panicked way heading towards a door. This whole thing has happened very, very quickly. So they have not a whole lot of them have moved. They're not exactly exiting in an orderly fashion. So there's a bit of a bottleneck at the exits. Some of them are still seated because they think perhaps this is part of the show. Why else would you have a bunch of superhero teens hanging out here if not to put on some kind of demonstration? And a guitar-wielding supervillain, that's really on brand for tonight's auction. So they don't realize they're in danger. Anyway, it's a mix.
And they are all talking to each other.
Some of them are talking, some of them are panicking, some of them are eating, some of them are just watching.
Okay.
Actually, no, wait. Let me double check something. You already checked. Hold on, you look something up. You can't check it again. I need to look something up. Within long range. So no, they can't be talking to each other. That ability is long range ability. So according to this, up to 100 feet, which is larger than the room.
Oh, they got muted. That's
Yes,
probably going to
everyone-
upset them.
Everyone is muted.
Okay.
All right. Phaleem.
He got up, did he?
Yes.
Hmm.
Also, from your angle, their boots clearly have heels. So it's possible that he is the wrong pronoun. Although some of the Kiss outfits also had very long heels.
Well, I mean, it's also possible that whoever they are, they want to be taller, you know.
Or just show off their calf muscles. I mean, they do have some very well-defined calves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. Let's see. Can I use one of my tentacles to try to smack him across the back of the knees, smack them across the back of the knees so they go down?
That would be a knockback. That would hinder your attack by 1.
I have, let's see. My animal shape combat counts as a, come on, where is it? All right. Most animal size or medium weapons can use without penalty. I was hoping for something counting as a punch, which is counting as a light weapon, and it's eased.
I would allow that. However,
Okay.
if you're going to be attacking with a tentacle,
Yep.
I would argue that that's a speed attack.
But you're still going to have that high difficulty. Well, let's just
Well,
roll and
actually,
see.
wait,
and
no. Wait. All sound
muted
is
himself.
muted. So that force field isn't a thing anymore.
well, then.
So, because that's also muted. So, but it is still going to be hindered by 1 if you are definitely trying to knock them over. So that would still make it be difficulty 7. It just wouldn't be difficulty 8. And then, because this is a light weapon, it's eased back down to difficulty 7. Number goes up, number goes down, number goes up, number goes down. Right now, it is at 7. Is there anything else you can do?
I think I might want to try if the weird force field is gone again, then I think I might want to try to grab for the legs again.
Okay, but this will still be difficulty 7.
But his force field's gone.
Yes, but you're making a cold shot pretty much.
I mean,
If
it's
you're
what's
going-
there.
If you're going for a minor effect, that increases the difficulty by 1. If you're just trying to hit them hard, then it's rules as written.
Let me look at something real quick then. You can't take this both. You can't take you already got this one again. You already got it. Where is that? Gain 2 minor
This would be the
abilities
third
associated
time.
with creature. So,
It's
you know,
almost
I'm
as if-
tired of
yeah.
being an octopus. I think I'm going to be a constrictor snake.
Okay. When you do this, it's going to... Oh, you did a thing. When you changed your intellect, you changed to the big number.
Oh.
Yeah. It should be 11 points possible. You brought it down to 8. You shrank your pool.
Well,
you
I
didn't take
thought
water
that's
out of
what
the pool. You poked a hole in the pool.
I thought that's what I was supposed to do.
No. you are using up stuff in the pool, but the pool doesn't get smaller.
Okay. So I'm going to pull another 3 points off to do the change. Okay.
Yes, that'll take you down to an intellect of 5 out of 11.
That's fine.
Okay.
As a constrictor snake, I have climbing and I have constrict.
Okay. And you're going to try to constrict. I will say that being an animal specifically designed for this evolutionarily, which is design is the wrong word then, but whatever. That's going to bring it down to 6 again.
What if I just want to climb them?
If you're not trying to actually do any constricting, I would say that brings it down to difficulty 5.
I'm going to go for that. First, I'm going to just climb.
Okay.
Okay, diff 5. Is that still a speed thing?
It's still going to be speed, yes.
Now difficulty is 5. That would be a 15. Can I spend one of my speed points on that?
You could put a level of effort in it if you want. That would come out of speed. If you're using the built-in calculator, it does take it out for you.
Okay. Son of a billy goat. I just can't roll.
All right. Well, a 7, unfortunately, would be difficulty 2 handily.
Can I spend an XP and re-roll that?
You may spend an XP and re-roll it.
I'm not going to spend effort this time, so that's going to be difficulty.
I'm going to count the effort as there, so add an asset instead of adding effort.
Okay. That's
And
worse.
that's lower.
The dice hate me. Never mind.
Am I wrong? But I think most re-rolls tonight, if not all of them, have been lower than the original roll.
Yes.
I
Yes, they have.
successfully re-rolled.
Okay, yeah, one successful reroll. Okay, I'll just sort of slither around pathetically. It's all of this dadgum icing, clearly.
Also, remember, their outfit looks like it's a mix between someone from the rock band Kiss and the Shredder. There's pokey bits, and you're trying to find a way to climb up around the pokey bits, not over the pokey bits.
It will slither around pathetically.
Okay. It is their turn. They take a moment to yoink their arm out of Quartz's hand. They Tekken, yeah. No. That's not quite right. Tekken was kind of what was happening when they were getting punched. They take a half step forward and realize there's a lightning wall there. And they sort of back up and they realize there's someone made of stone there. And they go and nope, that's the girl in the suit who punched them. No. That's a snake. Okay, there's a snake there now. This is them being distracted. All right. And now we are up to Quartz. That was a roll.
Quartz takes the opportunity to try and clunk them in the stomach.
Okay. You go for the body.
Yep.
All right. And that appears to be 7 points of damage.
Yep.
They are very clearly healing somewhat from one round to the next. However, you are hitting them harder than they're healing, possibly because you're made of stone.
Quartz is attempting to talk while all of this happens, but, well, their mouth is moving.
First word, 1 syllable. Sounds like rhymes with lunch. Second word, 1 syllable, rhymes with sheep. No, not sheep. Girl, sheep. You. Punch you. Ow! Oh! Give me a moment. The GM will award 1 XP to themselves for breaking EO, and everyone else gets to check that box on their bingo card as well. All right. Next up is Trajectory.
Well, I still want to get that thing away from him, but it didn't work very well last time. I keep forgetting that I go right after Quartz. Surely there's another person in the initiative order.
There is, although they went right before Quartz, and they're not here. So,
Yes.
it's Zandra is still here. Zandra is still helping. That action is just off camera.
I'm going to try something, and you might tell me it's not going to work. But I want to try it anyway.
I want to hear this.
Instead of trying to grab the object, I am just going to tap it.
You're just going to give it a little tappy tap.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any particular thing on your character sheet that you're going to invoke for tapping it?
Well, I think it's probably an attack, but I'm also using charge.
Charge 1 intellect point. You can charge an artifact or other device, except a Cypher, so that it can be used once. The cost is 1 intellect point plus 1 point per level.
And I want to see what happens if I use that on a device that's currently working.
Fascinating. I would argue it would depend on how well it was built, and if certain components were used of a certain quality or rating for that matter. You're attempting to release the magic blue smoke.
Yes.
I will allow the attempt before you do any of the math on your end. This is going to be difficulty 6, I will say.
Okay. And how many intellect points do I have to spend?
Just the one.
Okay. It's 1 plus 1 point per level of the device.
I am aware of
So
that.
I just want to make sure.
Yes. Well, right now, looking at how long the recording is, I'm going to say, let's just try the 1.
Okay.
It's already fully charged. You're adding to it. That's a nat 20.
It is.
Yes. Don't you have an ability that works when you get a nat 20?
I do. Blink of an eye. I am going to go ahead and take that second action and crack him across the jaw.
Okay. I'm going to say these things happen simultaneously.
Okay.
So go ahead and make the roll. It would be speed. I'm assuming speed because you. Trajectory, speedster. This is also going to be difficulty 6.
All right.
That's a second nat 20 in a row. Yes. Okay, so we're going to resolve what extra thing happens with this nat 20 in a little bit.
Okay.
Do you if you choose extra damage, we'll add that in, but we're going to work
I think I'll choose extra damage for the attack.
Okay, well then we won't have to worry about that. All right. So looking at this, you're going to do 6 points of damage to them because armor.
Okay.
But also, when you reach out and tap the speaker, the same way one might tap a microphone and go, is this thing on? You hear a bzz sound, which is the first thing you've heard in a little while. And now you're hearing the lightning wall. And someone on the phone going, no, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? And the officer belching loudly. All of these things are being heard.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Good. And then you are also smacking fretboard across the face.
Yes.
All right. I have put that damage in.
Okay.
That is really neat. That you got to use that ability.
Oh, that's why everything looked funny. It spent speed points for the the charge ability.
There you go.
Oh, hey, I can talk again. Sorry, I talked over you.
What did you do?
Well, I'm pretty sure I broke it.
I didn't break any of your stuff. Rude.
You broke a window.
It's not your window.
It is the event hall's window.
Yes, well, they're funded by town tax dollars and I pay taxes, so it's coming out of my tax money. They're invoking I pay your salary in a roundabout way.
That's the end of my turn.
Okay. Valim, you are currently a snake who is not climbing.
Trying to constrict the ankles next time, according to chat.
Ah, that is correct, because somebody's doing groceries. I propose that we pause briefly.
If you shouldn't have. Did you pause? I hope it wasn't for me.
It was, but we were playing for a while. We only paused very.
And also, we've only been paused for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And didn't we pause because it rolled over from Trajectory's turn to yours?
Yeah.
Yes, that's why I said give me a roll to just try to constrict the ankles. Has anything happened to change the situation that would make a different attempt better?
You can hear again.
Oh.
Yeah. Somebody
You
rolled 2
sound
nat 20s in a
disappointed
row.
about that.
Okay, how hard is it to just coil around the ankles? I'm on the floor. The ankles are probably close to the floor. You know, slither.
You know what? If it's a might attack, it's still going to be difficulty. I'll ease it by 1. It'll be difficulty 5 before you do any additional math.
Does constrict, is that just like a thing that you can do, or is that something that's eased?
I'm easing it by 1 because you are a constrictor.
In the right form.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
diff 5.
ignoring the whole called shot thing.
I mean, I'm just curling up in a circle. I'm on the ground.
If you were just curling up in a circle, I wouldn't require a roll at all. You were attempting to curl up in a circle with somebody's feet in the middle.
Yeah.
That's why you need to roll a 15 or higher on the die.
How's an 18 look?
It looks like a vertical line with two little circles, one on top of the other.
Yeah, it's a stick and a snowman.
Well,
What did Zero say to 8?
Hmm?
What did Zero
I
say
don't
to
know.
8?
What did Zero say to 8?
Hey, nice belt.
I was talking about shutter speed at a workshop that I was running this week, and I did tell everyone, it was a room full of educators, that when they're dealing with that fraction, there is a fine line between the numerator and the denominator.
Yep.
It wasn't that divisive a comment.
Ugh.
Anyway, with an 18, that is a crit. You can get 2 extra points of damage if you're doing damage. So what I will do is, if you say I don't want to do any damage, you're not doing any damage.
Mostly, Phelan wants to get a nice, good, secure grip on these here feet and hug them together.
Okay. You are hugging their feet together. Congratulations.
There will be no stomping and no moving because you cannot easily yeet the snake, the love snake,
The danger
the
noodle.
snake that says there will be no treading on me because I have your feet.
You realize suddenly that the floor is a certain shade of yellow. They're very old tiles. It looks like this whole place, before the black curtains were hung up, was given its decor in the late 60s, early 70s.
Mind you, I probably still have that icing rose on top of my head somehow, but you know.
I will say that for the aesthetic, you do. Beyond all reason, somehow, you still do.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's see. Someone is holding their guitar. Someone else broke their little speaker. They're running out of things they can do. Going on down the line. All right. She is going to look down at the danger noodle wrapping around her legs and scream at you. This is a might defense roll, difficulty 6.
Might defense diff 6. Let's see, I just want to check something about my combat. I don't have any armor, my skills. Drat, it's not a speed defense, it's a might defense. Oh well, a diff 6 one? Ugh.
Mm-hmm. You do have an edge of 1 in might.
So I do. So
you
that
could
means that I
spend
can
2
reduce that.
might to reduce it to 5.
Oh, well, I might as well.
Yeah, if you use a level of effort, it will take the 2 points out of might, not 3.
Okay, I will do that. Base difficulty of 6, you said, and it does that, so that's eased. Let's see if I can roll these.
That's a 3. That is a 3.
You know,
Right.
I'm going to spend an XP on this sucker. Just let's see. Let's try it. Diff 6 again or diff 5 still?
Well, I don't want you to spend the might again. If you roll it again, it's going to spend the might again for that. So this time we're going to say difficulty 5 so that it counts that you
Right.
spent effort.
If
I got a 4 this time instead of a 3. Son of a billy goat.
Ellie, what were you saying?
I was just going to point out the reroll button.
My worry
There's a reroll
is,
button?
there. Ellie found it while you were putting away groceries. It's a teeny little button above where it says 1d20 over on the right-hand side. It's a little d20 icon.
In the chat log.
Yeah.
Okay.
My worry is that pressing that button would make you have to spend the might points again. And I can't be bothered to deal with that right now. Because I don't want that to count as spending might points twice. I think the rules say you don't get to or something like that, but I do not want to worry about it. So you are going to, that was the trajectory is testing.
Yeah, it didn't make me spend the points again.
Oh, wonderful. We will remember that. Or we won't, because we are human. Falim is going to take 9 points of might damage.
Salim is going to take 8 points of might damage.
What ability are you using?
Altruistic. If you're standing next to a creature that takes damage, you can intercede and take 1 point of that damage yourself. If you have armor, it does not provide a benefit when you use this ability.
Somehow you managed to block a little bit of the scream.
Quartz tries to sort of cover Phelim's not ears.
You resonate with it a little bit.
Oh.
Phelim is, however, deafened for a few rounds.
Rude.
All right. And that was Fretboard's turn. Quartz.
Why are you stealing guitars?
It's kind of thematic. I'm a rock guitar themed supervillain. They're guitars that are worth money. There wasn't supposed to be a lot of security here. I mean, half the police force
Yes,
right now is
but
currently
why are
on
you
desk
a-
duty after kicking an animal.
Why are you a rock music themed supervillain?
Why are you a rock themed hero? It's what we do.
I thought the point of being a musician was to put on concerts.
Look, I could go over my entire origin story, but you're just going to have to buy the special edition #1 limited edition comic.
All right, let me make this clearer. Are you going to rethink your life choices, or am I going to hit you again?
I would prefer neither of those. She would be picking to have her cake and eat it too, but the capybara already had the cake on the capybara.
Can I try to roll intimidation, or is this not someone who can be intimidated?
You can definitely try to make the intimidation check. Which would you prefer, intellect or might?
I have a higher might edge.
Okay. You are threatening to punch them, so I would make the argument, especially at this late hour, that this is a might roll. But they are level 6, so... That's a 19. So I would say, okay, fine, I give up. Just get the snake out from around my legs. And why is it wearing a bow tie?
That's our mascot.
Of course you have a mascot. All right. So we are going to speed through what happens after that. The police are pretty much useless for detaining supervillains. They don't manage that, but a different group is called in, and they arrive to take Fretboard away. During the process, the guitars are confiscated as evidence, which wrecks the auction, but they're told that the guitars will be returned after the court hearings, usually. A bit faster if they plead guilty, a bit longer if they escape the Arkham Asylum equivalent for this campaign setting. So there's a lot of very upset people. The two people who actually who won auctions are, one of them left when the ruckus started. The other one still has their guitar confiscated, and they're like, but I paid for that. But it's evidence.
Rude.
And this goes on for a little while, and then there's a phone call, and one of the security detail picks up the phone and says, yeah, no, they're evidence. We got it. You sure? Okay. And they take the cases the guitars were put in, and they hand them to Quartz. Boss said you should take these to the school.
I will take these to the school. They
Have
will
a
be
pleasant
very
evening.
pleased.
All right.
And that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for playing. My name is Crash. I was your GM for the evening. Tonight I was joined by a bunch of awesome people, including Beth, Ellie, not Ely, Ellie, also Ely, EO. Jem was here for part of it. Who wants to plug a thing?
We already did this.
Yeah,
We
well, we
did.
can do it again, both sides. Eo's mom writes books at elizabethmccoy.com. Ask your library to get them. They're ebooks. They're cheap. Then everybody's happy. And speaking of happiness,
Well, Jen is happy to write things at bookofjen.net and podcast at shatteredsoulstone.com. The blog is about whatever Jen is interested in, and the podcast is about Diablo and Blizzard's themed stuff. Also, this is a podcast. The thing you're listening to right now, it's a podcast. You can find all of our podcasts at aaronbsmith.com/cogwheel. You can also follow us on the Fediverse at is.aaronbsmith.com/@cogwheel. And you can be a Patreon patron at patreon.com/cogwheelgaming, where you join other illustrious patrons, including Ellie, Shen Shen, Walter, Liv Droman, and patron emeritus Cindy. And until next time, this is Crash saying, now why would a supervillain want these guitars? Well, what an interesting way to hide some schematics. Good night, everybody.
good night.
Hey, for the first time, we finished a one shot and one shot.
Got a point there.
Everyone gets 2 XP except for Trajectory, who now has 3.